Welcome to the Bourbon Retriever. My name is Chris, and today we're going to be talking about my top 10 favorite whiskeys that have so far come out in 2025. I am shocked at how many major hitter bottles have already come out in the first half of this year, but let's go ahead and jump into it. So I'm first going to talk about two honorable mention bottles that didn't quite crack the top 10, but I think they're worthy of bringing up, and it is the Wild Turkey 8-year and the Old Fitz 7. I think these are great summer crushable bottles, very good whiskey. It's just at the end of the day, when I'm talking about the 10 best whiskeys, I'm looking for like complexity, long finish, something unique about the bottle. And the Old Fitz 7 and the Wild Turkey 8, they're great whiskeys, but they are a little simple. But at the same time, those are great crushable bottles for the summertime that we are in right now. Now, one criteria for this list, it has to be a bottle that I have tasted this year. There are some releases that have come out there that I just haven't gotten my hands on. So these are all bottles that I have personally been able to try this year. But for number 10, we're going to go ahead and jump into it. And this one probably could be higher on the list, and it is PFG, the Bombergers that came out this year. This one has been blowing up in hype. People have just been demanding for it, and the prices have skyrocketed for it. The only issue is the only time I had this year was at a party, and it was after I had drank a very strong sugary cocktail. So I don't want that one impression of drinking it to affect my overall impression of it. It's definitely a bottle I'm gonna have to go back to after all the hype that it has gotten, and so that's just where I'm putting it right now, based on my personal experiences. But I really do think this bottle could probably end up being a lot higher on the list at the end of the year. And another thing I should mention for this list, this isn't a blind I've done. This is just my impression of these, where these would rank in the top 10 from 10 to 1. And we're going to move on to number 9 at this time, and it is a bottle that I own, and it is the Four Roses of Father's Day. This is an OBSV 15 year. I was able to get this in Kentucky on Father's Day weekend. This is a really cool, unique bottle to get because most Four Roses single barrels are like 9 to, if you're lucky, 11 years old. So to get a 15-year-old version of the single barrel is just a really cool experience. And on top of that, the price tag was still only $100. The whiskey that is typically this old at Four Roses, it generally goes into their LEs at the end of the year. So to be able to get this type of aged whiskey out of Four Roses in a single barrel version, I'm just really excited. Now, as much as I enjoy this pour, it is kind of a simple pour. There isn't as much complexity as it to I would like, but that's just generally how I feel about most Four Roses single barrel products. So this one might not make it at the end of the year 10-year list, but where we are today at the 6-month mark, this video is coming out almost exactly at the 6-month mark. This one cracks the top 10. Now, before we move on to the next bottle on this list, if you're enjoying this content, hit the subscribe button. That way you don't miss any of these future videos that I post. In addition, let me know what are your top 10 whiskeys of this year, or if there's a bottle that you love that is not on this list, let me know. And if it's a bottle that I have not tried, I will go out and seek it because I want my end of the year blind to comprehend the best whiskeys that have come out in 2025. Now, coming in at number 8 is another bottle that I don't own, but I was able to do a review of it from my good friend Jose. He let me borrow it, and it was the Heaven Hill 19. This is a wheat whiskey out of Heaven Hill. So basically, it is their wheat, Barmheim product that they have, but at 19 years old. And it was, if my memory's correct, I think it was at 100 proof, so it was a little lower proof. It had a really good aroma, probably the best wheated whiskey aroma that I have ever had. I really enjoyed that aroma. The palate was really sweet, nice, and soft. And I am worried that it won't do well at the end of the year blind just for how soft it is. After you drink a massive blind of like 10 to 20 whiskeys, those softer notes can sometimes fall off into the distance. And it's really the more punchy, stronger notes that really break the barrier when you are really putting that much whiskey in your palate. So we'll see how it does. I did enjoy it. It is a very expensive whiskey. Is it worth the price? That's a tough call. And is another whiskey that I do not think will make the cut at the end of the year, but we'll see when that blind comes up. Number 7 coming up here is another bottle that I do own, and it is Eagle Rare 12. Another bottle I was able to get down in Kentucky over Father's Day weekend. I think this could be a dark horse bottle at the end of the year. You get a lot of those quintessential stag notes, like Georgie Stag or Stag Junior. I guess now it's just Stag. A lot of those deep, rich notes without the ethanol punch in the background, which is something I'm looking for more these days. I want that flavor without having all that just Kentucky hug ethanol just kind of breathing down your neck. So that's why I am in love with this bottle. I do think this bottle could punch through. I was talking about earlier, like the Heaven Hill, not be able to kind of crack through the top 10 because of how soft it was. I think this one is similar to like a Michter's 10, even though it's a low proof whiskey. I think that it could do really well at the end of the year blind. So we'll see. I think this is a dark horse candidate to jump up the rankings, but the only we'll find out is when I do those blinds at the end of the year. Now, coming in at 6 is a bottle that I did not think I would get this year, and is a bottle I did not think would have a chance at cracking this top 10, and it is the Michter's Barrel Proof Bourbon. These are only released in Kentucky, so you have to be on the Kentucky Trail in Kentucky to be able to get this bottle, and you kind of have to be lucky to get it because it's not widely distributed. It's a rare allocated bottle that is hard to get, so I was super grateful to be able to get this bottle. And two, the reason I do not think it was going to make this list is because I did your bottle your own experience at Michter's. I think it was maybe 2 years now. 2 years ago I did it. It's over here in this box, and that bottle is just, to be honest, okay. I think I could probably swap that bottle with the standard Michter's bourbon on the shelf, and I don't know if I would be able to tell a difference. It is just a very mediocre, okay bottle, and for what I paid for it, I'm a little disappointed. However, this one is complete 180 from that. This is an absolutely majestic and everything that you just want from quintessential Michter's. It is really a baby M10, and that's really what this should be. You get a lot of those same notes in it with that extra proof oomph that you do not get from the Michter's 10. This is an absolutely magnificent pour. If you have anything close to this is 25C. I don't know if you're going to be able to find one that is close to that with how the numbers are here. And I don't know how large the batches are when these come out, but this is a good one if you can find it. Now, coming in number 5 is a bottle that I'm going to have some questions on if I'm going to actually put it at the end of the year blind. And it is the Rare Character KOA. This is specifically a single barrel that was done by the Retriever Mender Bar in the Baltimore area. So the reason I don't know if I'll be able to put this in the end of the year blind is because this is a single barrel. And I traditionally like to put more only batch products on the end of the year blind because it's something that most people, even if it's very limited and harder to get, it is still more obtainable. Whereas this is a single barrel. There's only maybe 100 bottles. I think this one's actually a smaller, but only maybe closer to 60 bottles released. So no matter what I say about this, it's just not one that anyone is realistically going to be able to go out there and try. But the reason I am leaning to putting this one on the list is because of the KOA series. There are a decent number of KOA barrels that have hit the market. And so I think I might be able to put this on a list under the KOA label and not just this specific single barrel. So when this goes on the list, it'll probably come in like an asterisk next to it because there was enough of these single barrels in the market that have kind of the same flavor profile that I think that'd be okay putting this one in the blind. But if you have any thoughts on that, definitely let me know. I'll read the comments. Okay, now we're starting getting into the bottles that I think legitimately have a shot at becoming Whiskey of the Year winner. All of these I feel like could win that blind. And coming in at number 4 here is Buff Turkey. These bottles have been just overtaking the bourbon market. I feel like every NDP is putting out their own Buff Turkey labels, and people are just losing their minds over them, putting like the craziest AI stickers on the labels. But there is, I will say, a big variance in these barrels, so you should be, I don't know if I would say wary, but or skeptical, but you just need to be maybe informed when you go into it that they just all don't taste the same. You have some that are closer to like the lighter Buffalo Trace profile, And I've noticed those are kind of the lower proof ones, like maybe the 110s are kind of more that lighter Buffalo Trace notes, whereas the higher proof ones, like the 130s plus, are much closer to like a Russell's. That Russell's Reserve, thicker, oakier, um, kind of taste profile. And I personally enjoy the higher proof ones, which is typically odd because that's not where I am headed currently in my bourbon journey. But these higher proof buff turkeys are fantastic. This Magnolia is one of the top two buff turkeys that I personally have had. So I think this one has a good chance of winning the end of the year blind. But again, like I said, these all vary. So you have to be, I'd be educated when you buy these because the price on them is enormous, like $300 a bottle. Sometimes you get lucky, you get two, but with the price tag on these, you definitely need to trust who is picking these. Coming in number three is a bottle that I do not own, but again, my good friend Jose was able to let me borrow them to do a review. And I'm actually going to put two bottles together here, which might be a slight cop out, but I love both of them in their own right. And it is the Jack Daniels 10 and the Jack Daniels 14. I think the Jack Daniels 10 is the best 10, Jack Daniels 10 that has ever come out from all the releases. It is such a sweet pour and a bottle that I wish was a shelf stable pour because if it was, it'd be my new go-to daily drinker. It is such a great quintessential Jack Daniels drinking experience. And then the Jack Daniels 14 is the oakiest Jack Daniels has ever come out, which makes sense. It is the oldest Jack Daniels since back when they first did these older age dated products, and it is really good. My only complaint, I guess, for the JD14 is I think it's a little too bitter and oaky, which might show up in the end of your blind. I have a feeling it might drop down a little bit. I don't think it's actually going to finish up in second place. I think the 10 might surprise and be higher. I'm still debating if I'm going to put both at the end of your blind. I try not to overpower the end of the year blind with multiple products from like the same brand or kind of the same release. They are different SKUs, so I could probably put both of them in there. But we'll see. If you have thoughts on that, if you think both should be in it, let me know if I should more vary it up and try and represent different brands at the end of your blind. Hey, coming in at number two is the only non-bourbon on this list. And if you know anything about me, it is a shocker that a non-bourbon is this high, and it is the President's Choice Rye that just came out. These are some of the best ryes that I have ever had. They are absolutely phenomenal. If you can, try and get your hands on one of these barrels. All the ones I've had have been really good. They've been everywhere from exceptional rye to some of the best whiskey that I have ever had. So I think these are absolute hitters. I'm sad that this one is almost empty. I'm personally going to be hunting, trying to get another one of these bottles just because of how much I loved it. The other reason I think you guys should be trying to hunt these out now is because I think Old Forester is smart and they're putting their best rye barrels out first, help drive the market, help drive the brand for this bottle. So I have a really sneaky suspicion that these first 20 to 30 barrels are going to be absolute honey barrels. And part of the reason is also that some of the first barrels are older than their press release. They said they were all going to be like 7 to 9 years old. And this one that I currently have is a 10-year-old one. So I think a lot of these earlier ones are going to be the barrels to get. And I personally and myself can be hunting another one. Now, coming in at first place and the bottle that I have spent the most money on is the Calumet 18. This is an absolutely phenomenal bottle. If you play in that price tier, it is worth every penny. Don't go out there and buy this bottle if it's not in your budget. Whiskey is not going to magically make your life better or anything, so don't go into debt buying a bourbon at all. Never do that. But if you do play in that sector of the premium bourbon market, this is 100% one to buy. It is just so dark, rich, creamy, complex. That oak, the jam, it is just so good. I cannot adequately describe to you guys how good this Calumet 18 is. And I am deathly sad that this is empty. Lucky enough, though, that I did save 2 ounces of this. It's in a sample jar in the cabinet that I'm going to pull out for the end of your blind. If this doesn't come in the top three, I am going to be a little sad just with how much I love this pour. But that is the beauty of blinds. You never know where they're going to end up, and it is the best way to actually figure out how the whiskeys compare side by side. So that's my top 10 whiskeys of the year so far. If you enjoy this content, hit the subscribe button. That way you don't miss any future videos. And before you get out, check out this video here. And until next time, cheers.